Hello and welcome to Real Menopause Talk. My guest today is Clara Mosha, a masters figure competitor in bodybuilding, a fitness and nutrition coach, competitive strong woman and powerlifter, a mum in her 50s and entrepreneur. We have a lot of fun talking about the importance of role models, the gym, perceptions in and out of the gym, the beauty of strength training, and her overall message to women. And you're going to love what menopause has taught her and the gift that it gives. Clara, it is such a pleasure to meet you. I've been very, very excited about this. First of all, would you like to tell everybody a little bit about yourself, your family and background, just to get to know you?
Oh my goodness, we'll be here forever. So my name is Clara Mosha. I'm known as that all over social media and stuff like that. I'm 55 years young, I should say. Going to be 56 this year.
Yes.
I have 3 children. My eldest is about, you see, I can't even remember, 32. And I've got 2 little boys, twins, who are 7.5 years old. So always on mommy duties, and everything. My background, is very much, I'm actually from East Africa, right? And I came here many moons ago to study. And then as you do, you just kind of live and you work and you know what I mean? And that sort of thing. So my background, when my work started and when I started my working life, I was working as an admin assistant, receptionist. You name it, I did it. Worked in retail, all the rest of it. I came into fitness at the age of 32, I think. So, for a lot of fitness professionals, they come into it quite young and everything. I came into it in my 30s. And the reason I came into it is because I was diagnosed at the time with high blood pressure. Okay, so I was borderline high blood pressure. And I was like, what? I'm only, at that time, I think I was 31. I'm only 31, And so that's how I entered the fitness world. I mean, it's a long old story if I told you about it, but yeah, that's how I entered. So currently what I'm doing because of that's kind of like instigated my whole health regime, etc. And also my dad, during my 30s fell ill with diabetes. And I also saw my grandparents, struggle with the same kind of thing, all these metabolic conditions and things like that. So that really spurred me on. The more I kind of went into the fitness industry and me training myself as well and getting fitter and fitter, the more I really got passionate about this. And the longer my dad kind of got ill, the more my passion kind of even grew, more and more and more. Sadly, he passed away in the end from complications from type 2 diabetes. And on his passing, it really accelerated my thing about health and fitness and keeping well and, all the rest of it. And then towards my late 30s, so I was a cardio bunny in those days. As you do, when you start your fitness thing, what do you do first? You start running, you go to classes, all the things we used to do and stuff like that. And then I stumbled across, I used to work for a cancer charity. And in the basement of that building was a bodybuilding gym. At this point, I was in my late 30s, right, and everything. And the owner of the bodybuilding gym was this humongous, muscular guy that used to, we kind of said hello because he's Ghanaian, right? I'm African. We kind of like rapport. It was like, hi, brother, that sort of thing. Every time I used to go in and out of work or to lunch and everything. And he used to keep saying to me, why don't you just come to the gym? I was like, nope, I don't do that. And I don't go to these type of gyms. Because I was very commercial gyms and things like that, and everything. And he convinced me. And then one day I said, okay, I will come for a session with you, but I'll come during the lunch break because it's the quietest time. So I did that.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you what, Hattie, the first day I went into that gym, as intimidating as it was, I mean, it was a spit and sawdust gym, right? As intimidating as it was, and as intimidating as he was, as soon as he put me on a bench and I started doing bench pressing, first time ever, never done it before, and everything, I was hooked. And that was it for me. And that's what turned around my fitness altogether. And I went all into bodybuilding, all in completely. And then later on competed, etc., etc. Yeah. Yeah.
For those that don't know, because I'm grinning like a Cheshire cat here, because this is the thing that I just love so much. And the bigger the guy, the more gentle they are, and they're very welcoming on the whole. I know this is sort of huge, sort of stereotyping brushstrokes, but they are amazing. And the whole spit and sawdust, and I just love it. So bodybuilding to many people means the enormous guy who is ripped and chunky and strong. But it also has another side. People also hear bikini competition and they think all sorts. They rarely, unless they know what's going on, what it actually is. So can you explain to people what your competitions were and the variation within bodybuilding, bikini, physique, figure, all that kind of thing?
Right. Okay. So when I went into it, because I was in this environment now, so I kind of transitioned from going during the lunch break when it was quiet, after he showed me different ways of training. So he was literally training me for free and just kind of showing me that, look, if you train like this and you start lifting weights, your body's going to change. And I was not convinced at all. I was like, no, I like my cardio, I like my classes, and that's it, and everything. So I kind of did some sessions with him for about 2 months. I used to go in like 3 times a week, whenever I could. And each time he saw me coming in, he would show me a few things. And I kid you not, I used to go back to my desk upstairs and I used to write down everything. Everything he said, everything he told me to do, the exercises, because I didn't know them, right? The weights I was carrying, all of that sort of thing, right? And then slowly, because I was in that environment, what do bodybuilders do? They compete, don't they? So there was a little group. We had already kind of formed a little kind of group of friends and things like that. It's like, oh, such and such is competing. Let's go and support her or him. So I started going to competitions. And that is where my world completely opened up. And this is where obviously outsiders don't see this world because it's a very tight-knit kind of community and not very many people bodybuild really. So when I went to this competition, and of course, majority of the people compete are men. So there was all these, muscle upon muscle and quads and shoulders and, how many quads and shoulders could you see in one day? And everything. And we were like, yeah, because at this point I'm already learning about the muscular structure and how you train. And, I was all in, I was new and everything. And then they said, oh, and now we're going to introduce the women's figure. In fact, was it called figure in those days? I can't even remember what it was called. The women's figure category. And these women waltzed in with heels, sparkly bikinis, looking absolutely glamorous, hair up to here. I mean, you name it, it was there. Lashes, makeup, completely feminine. And I was like, what? This is bodybuilding? And everything? And that just like drew me in more and more and more. And that is what managed to convince me that actually bodybuilding is not about being the biggest, the most muscular, for women in particular and everything. These were tiny women. And then the funny thing is when they're on stage and they pose and everything, you see the muscles all come out and you think, ooh, Lord. Then when they come off stage and you start talking, because you kind of mingle in the foyer and stuff like that, you realize how tiny these women are. They're almost a size 8, 10, you would say. Tiny, just looking what we call commercially toned. Yeah? Figures that I absolutely just adored and loved. And I was like, right. So the next time I went into the gym, I was like, right, I want that. That's what I want. And the trainer was like, "Are you sure? It's a hard road." I said, "Yes, that's what I want." So I went into it very, very naively, not knowing much, and I'm glad I did because I went all in with it and everything. So for a lot of women out there, I always say to them, when you hear a woman saying she's a bodybuilder or she's a figure competitor or she's a bikini competitor, yes, the work is hard and everything, but you will never become thick and bulky as women think it is. You will just completely change your body structure and you will look 100 times better.
And feel 100 times better as well.
Oh my God. I haven't even got in that section yet to talk about how it makes you feel, because when I'm interviewed a lot about, my bodybuilding career at the time, it wasn't a career, but my bodybuilding interest, I say the number one thing, first it was aesthetics, and then I quickly kind of lost interest in that. And then it was how I felt. I felt strong. I felt empowered. I felt I could do anything. I didn't need anybody to help me with anything. I could lift my shopping. I could do all of the things that we kind of struggle with and we normally ask somebody to do for us and everything. I suddenly felt that. But I think the biggest thing for me is my self-esteem and my confidence shot up through the roof. Mm-hmm. And that in turn kind of helped me with my career, right, in the fitness world. And then I became a fully fledged personal trainer, contest prep, coach, and all the rest of it, and what I am now. So it started from there.
That's such a wonderful story. I love that. And the shopping, the little practical things in the day. When we have the shopping delivered to the front door, I'm like, I'm doing one trip. I don't care if there are 18 bags or 8 bags. I do my lifting. It's a silly, silly thing, but it makes me happy. So,
yeah. And you're utilizing those muscles that you've built, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you specialize at the moment in looking after 40, 50, 60-year-old women plus, which we will get to absolutely in one moment. First of all, I have to ask, where are you in terms of peri?
So I'm post now. I'm post-menopause because I'm soon going to be 56. My menopause journey was very all over the place. I arrived at it as we all do, without much information, education, that sort of thing. So I am post-menopause at the moment.
So how was it for you, the whole experience?
The whole experience from peri and the whole experience, right, was a bit of a shock to the system, right? So when I hear other women talking about it, I'm like, oh my God, I resonate so much with that. It was a shock to the system because our mums didn't talk about that. They really didn't, And in terms of education and health education for women, there's nothing about, when you get older, when you get into your 40s, this is what's going to happen. There was nothing like that. So I stumbled across it, right? I fell pregnant at 47 with my twins, totally planned. Totally planned. Yeah. And it was, I shouldn't say fell because it was planned and everything, and it was IVF.
Right.
And everything, right? So I fell pregnant, boom, the first round, I was pregnant with the twins and everything. Now, at the time, I didn't know that I was clearly going through perimenopause symptoms because I was extremely healthy. My body felt good. I was strong. I had finished my competing kind of thing finished in 2012. I was training other women. So I was in and out of the gym all the time. I did a stint with Strong Woman just before I fell pregnant with the boys. I did a tiny bit of powerlifting. So anything to do with strength training, I was doing it. So my body was very strong and I didn't really notice any symptoms whatsoever, right? And everything. Anyway, I fell pregnant with the boys and everything. Had the boys. It was a difficult pregnancy towards the end. At the beginning, it was fine. But towards the end and everything. Had the boys and everything. Went home. And within 6 months after having the boys, I went straight. The symptoms just went whoosh through me and in me and everything about it. Now, I didn't know whether that was perimenopause. I know now. Time I didn't. I thought maybe it was postnatal stuff going on, which it could have been because obviously the hormones were going crazy and it was an IVF pregnancy and all the rest of it. And then I had given birth to the boys naturally. I didn't have a cesarean. So twins naturally.
Ouch. I salute you. I mean, I only did one at a time.
And everything postnatal and clearly at the time perimenopausal as well. And when I went to the doctor eventually, this was probably after the twins were about 2 years old, and it was a gynae doctor, which was good, and she actually said, actually, your symptoms were all mishmashed into the pregnancy and everything. So you wouldn't have been able to pull out and say, oh, this is this is that, this is the other, right? But the biggest thing for me is I ended up having a pelvic floor prolapse. That was my worst. That was the biggest thing in terms of symptoms. And then I also started having lots and lots of day sweats, I call them, night sweats, anytime sweats. At any time I was just like, whoosh, you get all of that. And I was like, what is going on with my body? So it kind of started with the night sweats, and then I had the pelvic floor prolapse. And luckily, because I'm in the industry, I have my friend Thelma, who you interviewed. I told her, I was like, oh, all of this is going on and everything. And she's going, oh dear, you've had a prolapse and this, that, and the other. And so then that's when I knew, okay, I'm fully in perimenopause, and these symptoms I know now are going to come about. And then I went fully into the education of menopause and everything. And then when I turned 50, I think a year after I turned 50, my period stopped. It stopped continuous. It was first kind of intermittent and then stopped continuously for a year. And then I went into postmenopause, and that was it. Yeah. So that was my experience.
How did you discover about your pelvic prolapse? And was that anything to do with carrying twins? Because, I mean, certainly my second one, that was heavy enough. I love her. She was just very heavy to carry. So twins, you've got extra. Would that have exacerbated that, or was it all tied up with hormones generally?
I think it would have, because, carrying twins, as you know, you've carried a heavy baby, and my first baby was very heavy too, right? And I'm of a small frame. I'm not huge or anything. My hips are very, very small, and stuff like that. So, and where I carried very lower belly. I was very lower belly heavy. And I was still exercising. I was still lifting. I was walking a lot for cardio. I wasn't doing anything of high impact or anything like that. And during the pregnancy, I did have, I don't know, when you were pregnant, where the heaviness of the pregnancy, whether they suggested that you wear a support belt
at the bottom. I wish they had.
Yeah. One of my midwife said to me that maybe you can get one of these. She showed me a picture of it, and it was like a pelvic belt for pregnant women. So I used to wear that because she knew obviously I was still coaching clients and things like that. So she said, during your activities, just wear that bit. But it was normal that the pregnancy would have been heavy anyway for a small framed person and stuff like that. So so it would have definitely contributed towards that. Secondly, according to my doctor, the hormones related to pregnancy, right, and the hormones related to perimenopause, right, were kind of clashing. So my estrogen was going downhill and everything. That causes prolapse in a lot of women. I finally discover as I'm coaching my clients and everything. So a lot of women in their peri will go through a prolapse because of the lack of estrogen. So I went sort of whoosh with estrogen during pregnancy and then whoosh back down again after I had the babies and stuff like that. So all of that contributed towards it.
That sounds like hellfire because it's all in one go, you poor thing. But I'm very glad that you dove or dived into the education. So what are you
Yeah.
doing, or what did you do to tame your symptoms?
So to tame my symptoms, so the number one thing for me was to actually really educate myself about the pelvic floor prolapse, right? Because it's a very uncomfortable thing. You feel a lot of heaviness in the vaginal area, right? Like you feel like your organs are literally. I mean, it sounds very graphic, but I've got to say it. It's for women's health, isn't it?
Yeah,
You know, you feel
absolutely.
like, and so for some women, the organs do protrude out a little bit of the vagina. It's very uncomfortable. It really knocks your confidence, and it really stops you doing the things that you normally would do. So my strength and the things that I would normally do, I'm not a person that asks for help. I don't know about you. I am a person that just gets on with stuff, right?
Mhm.
You know, I was finding it very, very difficult to do that because each time I'll be like, oh God, I feel it wasn't painful. It's just uncomfortable, just heaviness, you know. So at the end of the day, you'd find myself, I'll be lying on the couch, legs up and everything like that. I had to learn ways to manage it and everything. With the
Mhm.
help of Thelma, she helped me a heck of a lot because that's her, you know, that's where she specializes in. I managed to kind of tame the symptoms, though I did, and I continue to live with, uh, prolapse basically. And then as for the other symptoms, what I did, which I do for anything that I go through health wise, which I feel like, oh, it's not right, I dove head first into my diet, right? I sorted my diet out first. So the first thing that went out was alcohol out, even though I wasn't drinking that much anyway. Since my bodybuilding days, I wasn't drinking much anyway. But I found that each time I went out and I say drank even one glass of wine or a spirit or whatever it is, that night I couldn't sleep.
Mhm.
The night sweats would just be horrendous. And you know what it's like. If you can't sleep, your day gets, and you just can't function, So I cut out all alcohol. And then the thing that helped me the most is I went super low on my carbs. I went completely low carb. In fact, at one point, I completely pulled out all carbs and I went keto, strict keto, completely
Wow.
strict keto. And what I found with that is my symptoms just went right down, right down, right down. Yeah.
Amazing.
Within a few weeks, I was like, oh, I'm getting less night sweats and I'm, sleeping a bit better. And my brain fog, I had really bad brain fog, right? Just completely lifted, you know what I mean? And I began slowly over
Mhm.
time to feel myself again. I started training again, not as heavy as I used to because I had to be very careful of my pelvic floor muscles and things, right? But I started training again in the bodybuilding style of training, which is what I know and what I love and everything. I started doing cardio again and stuff like that. So it took me probably a total of maybe 2 years of really, really strict keto, strict low carb, and everything like that. Still doing my strength training. And I think the strength training helped me immensely. It's something that's so underrated in the menopause world. It helped me immensely
Mhm.
because what it was doing is it was, and still does, ramping up my testosterone because that's another hormone that goes down. So with menopause, we only ever talk about estrogen, don't we? But then there's the other hormones as well that sort of plummet slowly, So there's progesterone and there's also testosterone. And we've got very little testosterone in the first place anyway. So can you imagine, when that's going down, we lose our muscle mass, etc. So those are the things that I actually did to kind of help me. Once I kind of sorted things out, then I started going into my sleep pattern, tracking my sleep,
Mhm.
ensuring that I had good sleep hygiene, and I was trying, she says, to get to bed for 10. You know what I mean? Doing
Mhm.
all the things that you're supposed to do, for sleep and everything, because my diet was already really, really going well, etc. I didn't take any extra supplements or anything like that. I was still doing my whey protein, my creatine when I needed to train. So for anybody who doesn't know, those are things that we take to build muscle and things like that. And I continue to just focus on building muscle, being strong, you know what I mean, eating well, avoiding alcohol, avoiding late nights, and those kind of lifestyle things. So I never ever ended up taking any kind of medication or anything like that, and still never have done. So no HRT or anything like that for me.
That's great to hear on so many levels. And I haven't cut out carbs completely, but I've definitely gone lower. And it's making a dramatic difference. There are still days where I don't know the difference between my eyelashes and my elbows because brain fog is just insane. But I think that's just the nature of the beast, and there are going to be days. But on the whole, able to hold a conversation is a plus. So yes, diet makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. That's the number one thing is diet.
Mm-hmm. And the training, yes, aesthetics, and also clears my mind because I can't think about anything if I've got a certain weight to push or pull, other than moving that weight. So clears my head. And as you said earlier, the feeling that gives you is a huge positive. So it's a mood booster. What do you see the most in the women that come to you, or what are the common threads, and how do you encourage them into strength training and looking after their symptoms?
So the common thing that most women come to me, and probably women talk to you about this, is the changes in their bodies, the changes that happen in their bodies from about age 45, I would say. That's when it becomes really apparent to a lot of women and everything. And they're like, what's going on? I've never had this belly. I've never had this. So it's usually the arms, right? The inner thighs and the belly. Yeah, that becomes, suddenly you feel a bit sort of, I call it fluffy. You feel a little bit fluffy around those areas and everything. So a lot of the time women will come to me with that first, because we are creatures we are aesthetic creatures, isn't it? We like to look good and feel good and stuff like that. And then the other thing as well that a lot of women come to me as well is brain fog and the night sweats, because the night sweats and the day sweats stop a woman sleeping. Therefore, they're not rested and they're all over the place during the day. They just cannot function in the way they want to. Yeah. So a lot of women will still come to me, as with younger women, right? They'll come to me, I want to lose weight. I don't like what I see, etc. But the first thing I say to them, let's go through your symptoms first. Before anything, we've come to an age now, we have to think about health first and this menopause transition. And I like to call it a transition because it's kind of a journey, right? We need to tame those symptoms down first before your body can respond to anything, right? So that's the first conversation we have. And we go through diet and their sleep pattern and all the rest of it. And then slowly over time, sometimes it can take maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it is. It just depends how the person is coming to me. Then we introduce strength training, right? And I normally I always go through kind of like, almost like a consultation to find out exactly how they're training. 9 times out of 10, women are doing a lot of cardio in a bid to lose that extra weight that has come on. Because for women, for us, right, that's the comfort kind of area. We know that. We know that if we go running, it makes us feel good. We know if we do a class, it makes us feel good. We really do not kind of like venture into a weights room, because we see that as, okay, that's the men's room. It's their cave. We don't go in there. Women don't go in there, right? And everything. So I kind of do an assessment as to what kind of training they're doing. Most of the time I say to them, okay, we're going to ditch all cardio. That's the first thing I say. So we're going to ditch all cardio, right? You're going to go all in with strength training to begin with, right? Until your body kind of adapts to that. You begin to build muscle. And with newbies, the good thing is that once they start lifting, my goodness, don't they see the result quickly? You know what I mean? Within 3 months, their bodies begin to change and everything. And then I introduce a different, I'm not saying that cardio is not important. It's very important, and everything. And then I introduce different ways of doing cardio. Don't go all in with cardio, right? Your primary thing, the first thing you should focus on is strength training. And then secondary to that, right, is your cardio. So we do metabolic conditioning, which we can talk about later and stuff like that. Instead of running, if somebody's got a lot of symptoms in terms of they're not sleeping, menopause symptoms are through the roof, I tell them stop running. You're going to walk on the treadmill, or you're going to go for a brisk walk because it makes you feel good. Get those 10,000 steps in. And I wasn't a believer in all of that back in the day. Now I'm all in with 10,000 steps. Get them in. Do you know what I mean? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And try and sort of like come away from high intensity cardio whilst your symptoms are still up there. Right? And everything. Once we've tamed down the symptoms and you're feeling better, now we can reintroduce more high intensity type training. But strength training is number one for me.
Tell us about metabolic conditioning.
Metabolic conditioning is this is a type of cardio that I used to give my competitors, because when my competitor clients used to get ready for shows, what we're trying to do during that time is to maintain as much muscle as possible, because where you're losing weight, you can very easily lose muscle as well. So you will lose water weight, body fat, and muscle. What you don't want to do as a competitor is lose muscle. All that hard work in the gym, you don't want to lose that. So metabolic conditioning workouts are workouts where you're still using your body weight, lighter weights, ropes, tires, you're pulling things, you're rowing, you're doing all sorts of things, but we do it for time or for higher repetitions. Sometimes we do 10 reps, 15, 20 reps, etc. But 9 times out of 10, the kind of workouts I give my clients are for time. So they will do, for example, 30 seconds of burpees, and then take a rest for 15 seconds. And then say, for example, the next one is squats with dumbbells. They do that for 30 seconds, then take a 15-second break, etc., etc. Right? So they could do maybe 10 exercises, a mix of body weight, a mix, with a little bit of dumbbells or something like that, and everything. And they will do that for 3 rounds. So in all, it probably takes anything between 20 to 25 minutes to do a workout like that. Now, for a lot of women, that is like, hurrah! 20 minutes? I can get my cardio in, maintain my muscle, and feel really, really good. It's a really hard way of working, right? It's not easy and everything, but it's excellent for maintaining that muscle while still doing your cardio. Mm-hmm. So that's how it kind of works.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Does this progress with age at all? Because you have a wide range of age with your clients. Does that change, or is it symptom driven only? How do you manage, say, a 60-year-old or older compared to a 45-year-old?
So a 45-year-old to about maybe 52, 53 will be going through perimenopause, then menopause when the period stops for a year, or the day that the period, I think it's the day that the period stops for a year. That day will be menopause and everything, mm-hmm. and then postmenopause, the beginning stages of postmenopause. Beginning stages of postmenopause, you're still going through those symptoms, the night sweats, the lack of sleep, etc. For some people, those symptoms go on and on and on and on till they're 60. Till they're in their 60s, it just goes on and on and on. So it all just, when I say it's a range, it's a complete range. But generally, women over 60 or in their 70s, etc., what I'm trying to do there is mitigate the muscle loss, right? That's that primary thing. Because if we watched our mothers or our aunties or any elders that we had around, what you will notice is by the time they get into not even 65, 70, 75, they begin to kind of hunch over, right? Walking a little bit slower, when they're standing off a seat, it's like, oh, because that you're losing muscle so rapidly at that point, right? So for a woman in her 60s, late 50s, 60s, etc., strength training is your best friend because it can completely reverse those symptoms. Secondly, it can also help you to be more independent because you don't want to be dependent on your children coming to look after you and, say you get ill, etc. You want to be able to get up off the couch and do what you need to do, etc. But generally, yeah, so the strength training thing is really women from 40s onwards going all the way. We just will continue until they throw us in that coffin and say goodbye. We will continue lifting, you know what I mean? It's a necessity, yeah? But obviously when a woman is older, I look at their muscular structure, I look at the way they're standing and walking, etc. And I know then, okay, we need to build up your muscle again. And it's very, very possible, very possible.
One of the most joyful photographs I've seen in recent times was of a 93-year-old lady going to the gym. And apparently she could bench press with the best of them. And it just brings me such joy thinking of that. 'Cause I'm like, that's what I want to be. 93 and still doing it and enjoying it, taking herself there every day. She was all part of the community as well. It's amazing.
Yeah. Fantastic. I love that. I think it's so inspirational for us, right? Even in our 40s and 50s, etc., to look at somebody else because they become a role model for us, isn't it? Right? 100%. To look at somebody else and say, oh my God, look at that woman. And there's so few of them. That's the sad thing about all of this. There's so few strength coaches anyway who are older, right? Mm-hmm. We tend to find it's men, right? And everything. Yeah. And also women who we can look up to and say, my goodness, look at her. She's 90 and she's still bench pressing and she can do her shopping. She's completely independent. She can do this. She can do that. That's what I want. So it's really, really inspiring. I love it. Absolutely love it.
It's wonderful. I have to send you the photograph because it is just, she's wonderful. Sadly, she passed away last year, but literally to the very end, off to the gym. So I love her. I feel like I'm the oldest woman in my gym. It is quite a bodybuilding gym. The oldest one, also I go in the daytime, so maybe it's different at night, although I doubt it. What is the oldest that I know age is only a number, but what is the oldest that you train and how do you encourage people to continue down this fabulous path?
So the oldest I've trained is probably around my age. Mm-hmm. I have done consultations and things like that with women in their 60s. I have helped my aunties, who are much older than me, and everything, but they're not clients. I wouldn't classify them as clients. But yeah, I have done, training sessions with like, my aunties are in their 70s. You know what I mean? I've got my mom who's in her late 70s and stuff like that. But currently I tend to attract women around my age group or a little bit younger. That's where I now I also teach and I'm one of the coaches for, I don't know if you've heard of Harley Street at Home.
Yes, Harley Street at Home.
Yes. Okay. So I'm one of the coaches there, and that's a menopause group and everything. So in that group, some of my clients there are well over. They're in their 60s and 70s, and my 50s, 60s, 70s is a mishmash because it's usually a strength class that I do. So they all kind of come in and everything. And I tell you what, and I kid you not, within 6 to 8 weeks, you see a massive difference in these women, and I'm training them at home with just dumbbells. There's no gym stuff. There's nothing like that. Do you know what I mean? And then of course when I go and train in the gym, I'm usually the oldest.
Showing everybody how it's done.
I feel it.
No. You are just showing everybody that this is the way to do it, and this is what we can all do. We can all do
Yeah,
it. Which is
yeah, exactly. Now that alone, in fact, I'm glad you asked me that question because for an older woman, they would find that pretty intimidating, isn't it? Because you see these young girls and you think, oh my good God, look at that tight body. Where did mine go? It's like, you know what I mean? But some of them are such an inspiration because they have really, really embraced strength training. I don't know if you've noticed that in your gym, but a lot of the young women in their 20s and 30s, though they're doing some of the exercises that they're doing, I think to myself, oh my goodness, are we going to do another hip thrust again? Conversation for another day. Exactly. Hats off to them because they have embraced strength training, right? They don't mind looking quite muscular and quite toned and in a certain way and everything. And they don't care about how many men there are in the gym. They will go right in there and do what they need to do. Whereas my generation, we grew up on the whole thing that, women don't strength train. We only pick up pink dumbbells. You know what I mean? So there's still a lot of resistance and hesitance. And also people are afraid to go in the gym. They don't want to go in an area where it's just full of men throwing weights down and, But I always say to women, go and claim your spot. It's a public gym. You pay your membership, go and claim your spot. You know what I mean? Especially when you get more confidence, with lifting,
It does take a while. I remember walking in for the very first time into the free weights area and being genuinely uncomfortable because it was only men and just having to almost blinker myself and just do it. And it took me about 6 months until I felt comfortable going in there. But you're right about the young women. They look fantastic. I wish I knew what I know now 20, 30 years ago, because I would be doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they are strong and fit and healthy, and they appear to be fearless, which is also what I absolutely love. So encouraging the upcoming generation to do the same, so they have preventative measures. They don't lose their muscle. They build and they maintain.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. I mean, hats off to them. But obviously for us, we are trying to encourage our sisters, right, to come along with us because we're experiencing the benefits of it. You know what I mean? And the beauty about it is, on top of all the benefits and everything, you look good when you build muscle. It looks so good in clothes. Do you know what I mean? You put your leggings on. I live in leggings. Yeah. You put your leggings on and you go to the gym and you think, oh, damn, I look good. Do you see what I'm saying? It's a confidence boost. You know what I mean? When you look good, So, but that's the icing on the cake, isn't it? That's the icing on the cake.
It is. Clara, what is the greatest lesson that menopause has taught you?
Ooh, good question. It has taught me actually to embrace what's happening with my body, which for a ex-physique competitor, is a hard one. Because when you've been doing bodybuilding and everything about your life is the way you look. Do you know what I mean? Have I got that peak on my biceps? Do you know what I mean? Everything. You literally wake up and the first thing you do is look in the mirror to see, are my abs coming through? Is this? Do you know what I mean? That was my life and everything. And then when your body begins to change and everything, because of menopause, it forces you to actually accept your body as it is, to accept what is going on with your body, and that it's actually a gift, I think, right, to us women to finally think to ourselves, actually, when you're going through the menopause, it's actually, those symptoms are very uncomfortable and everything. It's actually a gift because it's a journey you go through. And as you go through it, if you get through this phase, oh my goodness, can you do anything? You can do anything. You know,
I
so
love
that,
that. I
that's
do.
something, yeah, that I think is my greatest sort of lesson, is accepting who I am, where I am, and what I have to offer to the world, etc., with confidence, with humility. Do you know what I mean? And really thanking God for everything that I'm going through right now. Yeah.
I bet your children love that as well, and you're an amazing role model to all your clients and your kids, which is a joy.
I
Thank
hope
you.
so. That is my
Is there
only
anything?
thing that I really hope that, I mean, my kids train with me sometimes anyway, so they know from when they were babies, it's all about, they've got like their own little mini weights, and they squat and they do burpees and they do gymnastics, and they, so they're very, very active anyway. So, yeah.
That's awesome. You're going to have more champions on your hands.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
Is there anything that you would like to add?
The thing I would like to add over everything is to really plead with women: embrace strength training. Go to coaches who know what they're talking about. Go to somebody that you feel comfortable with, right? There's a few female coaches out there that you can talk to quite comfortably about your symptoms, because the symptoms you're going through during menopause, right, are our symptoms. They're perfectly, it's what we're going through, right? Okay? They affect your body, the way you feel, etc. But, however, I must say that you can completely get over those symptoms, or minimize them at the least, right? It doesn't matter whether you take HRT or whatever it is, no judgment whatsoever. Strength training is something that, if you embrace, will totally, totally change your life. I am so passionate about it. I scream it from the rooftops. In fact, last year, about 10 months ago, I started my own YouTube channel because I thought to myself, I need to teach women this thing, right? That is just completely changes your life. So my YouTube channel is all about that. It's just teaching women how to lift, the things that you feel, what happens, right? And everything. Becoming independent and confident, and your self-esteem, all around this thing about lifting and iron. And I mean, it resonates with you anyway, I can see. And everything. So really, really, yeah, really and truly, my message to women is really just go out there and learn, embrace it, learn how to strength train, learn how to, do you know what I mean? Don't be intimidated. If you're a person that likes to go to the gym, right? Rightfully go and claim your spot in the gym. If you want to work from home, plenty of things we can do at home, right? We can do basics like learn how to do press ups. Do you know how many women are scared to do a press up? I mean, it's crazy, right? Right? Men just throw themselves on the floor and they just go. I see my boys sometimes, they just go for it, right? For women, we're so like, oh, but I don't have the upper body strength. I don't. Yeah, but we can build it. Yeah, we're not strong. We're not as strong as men.
Yeah.
We can build it. Our lower bodies are very, very strong and everything, and we can go for squats forever. We can squat forever and everything, but we can build the muscle. We can get stronger. We can change our bodies. So that's just my final message. Embrace strength training, right? Come on board with me and Hattie, right? And experience what we're experiencing with this lovely thing called strength training.
So your YouTube channel, if people go to you, they can see how to execute various lifts and exercises correctly.
Yes, with a lot of YouTube fitness channels, you just see the demonstration. I literally teach because that's what I love to do. So I'll say, okay, squat down, do this. You can squat to your chair. You can squat to a bench. You can do you know what I mean? Hold the weight like this, do this, take the weight down if you have to. So it's all of that. It's literally coaching and teaching.
So where can people find you?
All social media platforms. I'm very, very active on Instagram. My handle is UPT by Clara Mosha. But even if you Google Clara Mosha, it will all just, you know what it's like. Google will spit it all out. I am active as well on Facebook. My YouTube channel is at UPT, same handle as my Instagram, at UPT by Clara Mosha.
Thank you so much for your time, Clara. It has just been lovely talking to you. You can find Clara on YouTube, Instagram, and all the other socials as UPT by Clara Mosha. That's UPT for Ultimate Physique Training. And do check out her channel as she gives good, solid advice and instruction. Follow us wherever you get your podcasts, and please leave us a review, especially on Apple Podcasts, as it helps more women discover us. I would be really grateful. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.